Imagine losing both your parents before you turned 16. Now imagine that the people you trusted the most became the reason your suffering got even worse. This is the heartbreaking story of a young boy whose own uncle took everything his father worked for. But what happened years later proved that no one can steal the destiny God has prepared for you. Stay with me until the end because this story has a lesson you'll never forget. At just 15 years old, Daniel lived a simple but happy life with his parents. His father was a hard-working businessman who owned a small transport company and a few pieces of land. His mother was a kind woman who believed education was the greatest gift parents could give their children. Every morning before leaving for school, she would smile and say, "Study hard, my son. One day you'll become a man we'll all be proud of." Daniel believed life would always be this beautiful. But life had another plan. One weekend, his parents traveled to another city for an important family event. They promised they would be back before Monday morning. Daniel waited eagerly, expecting to hear their familiar voices at the gate. Instead, he heard a knock on the door. It was a neighbor. His face was pale. His voice trembled. "Daniel, there has been an accident." In that moment, Daniel's world came crashing down. His parents had died in a terrible road accident. The funeral was filled with tears. Friends, relatives, and neighbors came to mourn. Daniel stood beside two graves, unable to believe that the people who had loved him most were gone forever. But as painful as that day was, something even more heartbreaking was about to happen. His father's elder brother stepped forward and promised everyone, "Don't worry, Daniel is my son now. I'll take care of everything." Everyone applauded his kindness. Little did they know those words hid a different intention. A few weeks after the funeral, the uncle took control of Daniel's father's business, collected the property documents, emptied the bank accounts he could access, and moved into the family house. Daniel believed his uncle was protecting what belonged to the family. He was wrong. Months passed. His school fees were never paid. When Daniel asked about returning to school, his uncle replied coldly, "Education is expensive. You are old enough to work. Forget school." Those words shattered the young boy's heart. Within days, Daniel found himself sleeping in a small storage room behind his uncle's house. The comfortable bedroom he once called home now belonged to someone else. Every morning before sunrise, he fetched water, washed cars, cleaned the compound, and ran errands. He worked harder than anyone, yet he was treated worse than a servant. Sometimes he went to bed hungry. Sometimes he cried silently, asking himself one question: why would my own family do this to me? Yet deep inside, one dream refused to die. He still wanted to go back to school. Years passed. Daniel survived by doing odd jobs in the neighborhood. He carried heavy loads at the market, washed vehicles, and helped mechanics clean their workshops. Every small amount he earned helped him buy food. People saw a poor boy. They never saw the determination hidden behind his tired eyes. Then one afternoon, something unexpected happened. An elderly businessman visited the mechanic workshop where Daniel worked. While others tried to impress him, Daniel quietly repaired a customer's bicycle before returning to sweep the floor. The rich man noticed something different. He watched how Daniel greeted people with respect, worked without complaining, and returned extra change when a customer accidentally overpaid him. Honesty like that was rare. The businessman called him over. "Young man, what is your name?" "My name is Daniel, sir." "Why aren't you in school?" For a moment, Daniel remained silent. Then he told him everything. The accident, the funeral, his uncle, the stolen inheritance, the broken dreams. By the time Daniel finished speaking, tears filled the old man's eyes. He saw himself in the young boy. He remembered growing up in poverty before life gave him a second chance. That day, he made a decision that would change Daniel's life forever. "From today," he said gently, "you will never work here again. Come with me." Daniel couldn't believe his ears. The businessman enrolled him back in school, paid every fee, bought his books, uniforms, and supplies, and gave him a comfortable place to live. But he gave Daniel something even greater than money. He gave him hope. Daniel studied harder than ever before. While others slept, he read. While others complained, he prepared. He graduated as one of the best students in his class and later earned a university degree. After graduation, the businessman offered him a leadership position in one of his companies. Daniel's honesty, intelligence, and humility helped the business grow rapidly. Years later, the businessman officially retired and handed part of the company to Daniel, whom he loved like his own son. The poor orphan had become a respected businessman. But life wasn't finished writing his story. One afternoon, as Daniel left his office, he noticed a familiar face sitting outside the reception area. It was his uncle. The proud man who once took everything now looked tired, weak, and defeated. His businesses had failed. His properties had been sold. The friends who once surrounded him had disappeared. With tears in his eyes, the uncle whispered, "Daniel, I need your help." For a few seconds, silence filled the room. Daniel remembered every hungry night, every insult, every tear, every opportunity that had been stolen from him. He had every reason to seek revenge. Instead, he remembered the kindness that had changed his own life. He looked at his uncle and said quietly, "What you tried to steal was never really mine. My destiny was always in God's hands." Then Daniel helped him, not because the uncle deserved it, but because Daniel refused to let bitterness control his heart. That day, everyone present learned a lesson more valuable than money. People can steal your property. They can steal your opportunities. They can even betray your trust. But they can never steal your determination, your character, or the future that awaits those who refuse to give up. If you enjoyed this story, please share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and follow for more inspiring stories. And in the comments, write these 3 words: never give up.